Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to Coding Hives. This is Rasina with you. Today we are going to learn about something interesting. In the last video we learned about iterators, right? And at that time I told that we no need to worry more about iterators as behind the scene of a for loop, this iterator thing is there. As I am curious, I think you all are curious to know that how this thing working inside this for loop, how iterators are working inside for loop. That I am going to explain in this video. So when you use a for loop in Python, it is secretly using an iterator under the hood to fetch each item from the iterable, like a list, tuple, or string. So here we know like in a for loop there are three steps like initialization, then increment or decrement section, then it will check the final like conditional check if it reaches the last index, right? So same like that it is happening inside this iterator also. For example, initialization is the for loop first calls the iter function on the iterable, like a list or a tuple. Then this converts the iterable into iterator. Next is iteration. Each time the loop needs a new item, right? So it internally calls the next on the iterator to get the next element. And the last one is stop iteration, right? We saw that in our last example. So when the iterator run out of items, it raises a stop item exception, which signals for the for loop to stop. So these are the three things happening inside under the hood of for loop. Okay. So I will explain that things first, then we will check with an example also. Okay. So the first thing is initialization. Initialization is the for loop first calls the iter function. So it happens through this iter function, okay, initialization. And the next one is iteration, how it iterates through the array, iteration, okay. So that is happening using this next function, okay. And last is the stop, right? We need to stop the iteration. So there it is, we saw that before also. If the last element is reached, we will get an exception like stop iteration, right? Stop iteration, yeah, stop iteration. So it is to stop the loop, okay. So these are the three things happening behind this for loop, okay. So we will check with an example like what happens internally when you use a for loop, okay. So I will first write a for loop, then I will try to write a same code using iterator thing, right? Like what is happening when you are executing a for loop. So normally, for example, I want to I have a list, my list or something. So I'm giving some values. Now I just want to, it's normal for item in my list, okay, just print. So this is common for us, right? We all know this thing, the basic thing. So instead of this, how this how can how internally this for loop works, that I am going to explain. Okay, clear? So for that, first I have my list. Here I need to print this item. Okay, so first we will try to print this code. I think you know this 1 2 3 4 we get. Now we will make it as a comment. Now we are going to do this with the iterators. So I have my list. I have my list. Then I need to create an iterator, right? So I'm going to create an iterator. My iter is equal to iter of, then the iterable name, right? I gave it. Next, what is happening inside this for loop, I'm explaining here, right? So I hope you know this while loop and all. It is also something similar to for loop. But if you don't know the end condition, we are mainly using this for loop, right? Sorry, while loop, right? So here inside this try, what we will do, we are going to take the first item. So here next of this my iterable, right? Here inside the next we need to give the iterator object, right? So my iter is my object. Then I can print this item, and if there is exception, like I told, if when it reaches the last element, it will come some exception like stop iteration, right? So except stop iteration, then in that case we need to just to break. I think something happened here. While true, try item. This is item. Sorry, item is equal to. I gave like that. Item is equal to next of my item, then print item, then exception, stop iteration. Sorry, exception node. It is except, right? Except. I found the mistake is like here I need to give small letter, right? So that's it. So now I will try to run this code. You can see, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We got the same output. How this for loop work. So this is happening inside this for loop. So it will inside the for loop, the internal working. So we don't need to know it, but I just want to know, like my viewers need to understand the base fundamental things, like internal things also. Then it will be very good, right? So this is the thing happening inside this for loop. First we have a list, then we created an iterable. So using this my list, this is my iterator object. This is my iterable, and this is iterator. Then using the next function, we are getting the elements. Then this is the exiting case, like when it reaches stop iteration, that means there is no element in the iterator, so it will just break the statement. So I think you got the idea how what is happening inside for loop. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.